This is VNN Canada, and here are today's top stories. Man charged after allegedly acting as unauthorized immigration consultant. Experts urge frank, empathetic talk with youth reeling from Iran plane crash. Overseas Pakistanis sending money via illegal modes. How to Train Your Dragon filmmaker Dean DeBlois. And now, news in detail. The Canada Border Service Agency says a man has been charged with acting as an immigration consultant without being authorized, as well as encouraging refugee claimants to misrepresent the facts on applications to remain in Canada. Francois Teasdale appeared in court in Montreal this morning after being originally charged on December 5 under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. According to the CBSA, Teasdale is alleged to have provided immigration advice for compensation without being authorized to do so between August 19, 2015 and November 16, 2017. He is also alleged to have knowingly counseled people to make misrepresentations to the Immigration and Refugee Board's Protection Division. CBSA spokesman Dominic McNeely would not comment on the scope of the investigation, but he said it appears several refugee claimants may have acted as Teasdale's advice. Among the many painful details that have emerged about downed Ukraine International Airlines flight PS752, in the preponderance of young victims and their deaths have sent waves of grief through schools and university campuses across the country. Young people attempting to process such senseless tragedy can vary widely in their understanding of mass violence, say grief experts. Confusion, rage, despondency, withdrawal, and fear are some of the things parents and caregivers may see to various degrees in young children, grade schoolers, and adolescents, says Liat Granick, who encourages families to offer frank but empathetic conversations about death in times like these. With all children of all ages, being open and honest and very clear is very, very, very important, says Granick, a health psychologist and associate professor at York University School of Health Policy and Management. Out of the 176 dead passengers, 136 of whom were bound for Canada, at least 75 were younger than 30 when the Boeing 737 dropped from the sky near Tehran. About a third of young victims had not yet reached their teens. Among the tips various school boards, principals, and university advisors have offered parents this week are: listen to what your child tells you, ask them to describe their emotions, and respond to their concerns. The State Bank of Pakistan governor recently said overseas Pakistanis were increasingly using informal channels to send remittances to the country. We are seeing that the use of formal channels for sending money by expatriates is not growing as much as the use of informal channels, Raza Bakr said while addressing the 4th Annual Banking Award, the Express Tribune has reported. The reasons for this may be the comparatively higher cost of sending money through formal channels and the questions asked by banks from the senders, he added. The central bank chief had recently told the federal cabinet that overseas Pakistanis were reluctant to provide additional information about themselves to banks, fearing that their data, which would be shared with the Federal Bureau of Revenue in line with the Financial Action Task Force recommendations, could be misused. Bankers and experts have estimated that receipt of remittances through illegal channels stood at around $8 billion a year. Right-arm pacer Navdeep Saini was absolutely menacing during India's emphatic 7-wicket victory over Sri Lanka in the second T20 played at the Holkar Stadium. The tearaway fast bowler had the Lankan batters in all kinds of discomfort during most part of his 4-over spell, in which he had figures of 2 for 18, including 13 dots. During the course of this spell, the 27-year-old bowled at ferocious pace and helped India restrict Sri Lanka at 142 for 9, which the host chased down quite comfortably. In fact, he even breached the 150 km/h barrier during the period of the Sri Lankan innings when he bowled to Oshanda Fernando. Nearly All his balls had 148 kilometer per hour Yorker speeds to crash into the middle and leg stumps of opener Danushka Gunathilaka and others. I am gaining confidence with both white ball and Sani had said after being adjudged man of the match recently. When I made my T20 debut, I wanted to bowl fast, but now I know the importance of the slow deliveries, he added. Canadian talent from major Hollywood films including How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, Ford vs. Ferrari in 1917 are headed to the Oscars. Animator Dean DeBlois, who hails from Elmer, Quebec, got a nod this morning for Best Animated Feature for the final installment in the heralded How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. DeBlois wrote and directed the coming-of-age story, which has the lead voice of Montreal-raised actor Jay Baruchel as a young Viking named Hiccup. In this final installment, Hiccup is a young adult contemplating his future and finding a new home for his dragon Toothless. DeBlois was previously nominated for Oscars for 211's How to Train Your Dragon and 2015 sequel. He shares the nomination this year with the producers Bradford Louis and Bonnie Arnold. Other contenders for Best Animated Features are I Lost My Body, Klaus, Toy Story 4 and Missing Link, which also has a Canadian connection. Vancouver Trevor Dalmer was art director on Missing Link. However, he isn't named in the Oscar nomination. Meanwhile, sound expert Paul Messi, who spent his early career in Toronto, is in the running for Best Sound Mixing on Ford vs. Ferrari. His co-nominees are American sound pros David Gianmarco and Stephen Morrow. And that's all from us today. Please keep watching VNN Canada.